Welcome to the world's first Straight Talk Solarcast. This is your go-to podcast for answers about solar. Brought to you by Solar Harmonics in Northern California, who invite their customers to own their energy by purchasing a solar panel system for their home, business, or farm. Each episode, we discuss questions facing people making the decision to go solar. The solutions to your questions are given to you straight by one of the leading experts in the solar industry, Jamie Duran, president of Solar Harmonics. Feel free to search our library for answers to questions that you're facing when considering solar. And now, here's Adam Duran, our host with the questions, and Jamie Duran, our solar expert with Straight Talk Solarcast.
Hello, Jamie.
Hello, Adam.
How's everything in the land of solar this week?
It's always busy this time of year, super warm. So people are really excited to go solar and to, get it going as soon as possible. And even more is that for some reason, lots of people's solar is going down or, some PG&E power surge, calling and demanding immediate service. And, unfortunately, we're just overwhelmed with lots of service calls we thank them for their patience. And even when they're hanging up the phone, if we did not have a truck driving up right then, they're going to be upset. And I get it. It's solar and they want it to work and it's really warm. They're using a lot of power. So it's to everyone out there, check your system. And if it's, if you see a red light blinking, generally red light blinking is not something that it's like seeing water on the floor. It's maybe an indicator of something. Hey, there's not supposed to be water dripping anywhere from there or from my ceiling or my floor. Or it's even worse when it's the floor. But it's an indicator. And then, go through the troubleshooting steps. Google and ChatGPT have been really, really helpful for a lot of people. And then, almost all the time says, contact your solar installer.
I was going to say. Yep.
And that's fine. And we'll definitely help them we have installers. We just don't have thousands of technicians. And so that are just waiting for someone to call, please, someone call. But it does happen. And when it does happen, I completely understand people wanting to get it going. And I also, keep in mind the installer is not the manufacturer. We're relying on them to produce good quality equipment. And 99% of the time it does what it's supposed to. That 1%, though, we're working with the manufacturer to get a new piece of equipment or get it repaired, replaced. And then after that, we will do our best to get it installed as quickly as we can. So with that, I wanted to talk about, you may have heard, probably not though, because you don't follow this craziness. Did you know the FCC can issue a ban on like an entire product line? It's true.
Any product. That's amazing.
Just a couple weeks ago, the FCC issued an order preventing the authorization of new foreign-produced solar inverters because they consider them a cybersecurity risk.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's what I said. I was like, what? How is that?
What?
How is that possible? Because nearly everything is built in China. And if it's not, it's China adjacent, because this is just foreign made solar inverters. And, a lot of solar inverters are made, they'll say, packaged in the US or designed in the US and made overseas and then brought here in final assembly in the US and that kind of thing. And so apparently the FCC is saying that Chinese made solar inverters, and this was in their report, not just me saying that, they're really worried that they could have access to, your information. If it's a large solar inverter, like a 2 megawatt solar inverter, 500 kilowatt, then they're considering that a infrastructure threat, and they're not going to take it anymore. And so now they've said immediately. So like if you had solar inverter, if you're a supplier and you had a container of these commercial solar inverters or even residential solar inverters on the water, you're not going to be able to get them. They're going to turn them back, which is like, what? How is this possible? How is it legal? And, and how and why. But the why part we just talked about. And the how is they're really worried that because the inverters are connected to the internet, it's not that difficult to get them to, collect that information, or even if it's connected to a client's Wi-Fi system, to be able to access the client's Wi-Fi or, their internet data and anything else on their network. So I don't know if they had any actual cases of this, that it's ever worked, or somebody was hacked because of the solar inverter, but they just issued this call. This was 2 weeks ago. And then this week, actually, the Trump administration said, oh, wait, there's more. And so it's not just foreign-made solar inverters. It is now inverter manufacturers that also use foreign components. And so they're like, what? So it's like, okay, so does this mean we're out of the inverter business and now? And thankfully, most of the residential side has centered around three companies, Enphase, SolarEdge, and then Tesla. And so they're saying, okay, well, the FCC is part of the ban, and now there's the Buy American Act that says, okay, a U.S. company headquartered or a company headquartered in the U.S., if they have a inverter manufactured in Vietnam or Mexico, they're affected as well. An Israeli company like SolarEdge, they're out. And a German company, there are plenty of them that I've used. And then Chinese companies that produce for lots of other manufacturers, they're also out. So like, okay, well, now what's going to happen? Because if you're in the commercial business, you generally use larger solar inverters, and most of those inverters are coming from China. So now what's going to happen? We think there's probably going to be some lawsuits and things saying that, they way overreached, and but it's it's another one of these. No one expected that, and now it's holy moly. But if you have inventory of these inverters, I don't know what you do, because you can't really get them installed. So very strange, and we're working through it.
Isn't the ban just on the importation of them? So if they're already here, they probably can still be used?
Well, if they're existing, so they're saying existing installations are fine. It's just, which makes no sense, because if they're worried about the Wi-Fi cyber crime opportunity, you would think that, oh, well, that could be today, but apparently nope, it's future ones. And so they're saying, well, this is going to force the manufacturers to put in more security on their reach inside the network, the Wi-Fi network, or even the hardline network to a company. And so it's a lot of redesign. They want these manufacturers, or these owners of these inverter companies, to move manufacturing to the U.S. And then otherwise they need to pursue getting a conditional approval saying, yeah, we're in process, and we can show that our inverters are not cybersecurity risks, and we're here to just make solar. So it's interesting and challenging, and oh no, and is this going to delay projects? Because if you had something spec'd out 2 years ago and it's calling for a 500 kilowatt inverter, and how do you go back to the client and say, oh yeah, well, now we have to upgrade it. We got to change everything. We got to change the permits, change.
Wow,
it's a real big disruption that just kind of came out of nowhere. And one of the things that's being talked about the most is when somebody has an off-grid system, and you may have even heard about these like balcony solar for apartments, where you can put up one or two solar panels and plug it into the wall. Lots of states are doing legislation that will allow that, but they're saying all of these brands all come from China, and they're all going to be banned. And it's like, oh boy. So as soon as if you search solar panels on Amazon, you can see these plug-in type of solar panels, and they're all getting nope, cannot use them. So fascinating.
Wow. So all of the Chinese manufacturers, I would assume those are the cheapest inverter companies.
Yes.
So, and for your clients, are you regularly using them, or you just leave it up to the client, or what's,
No, it's when it's the sneaky things, like, okay, you buy, say, a SolarEdge inverter, and not to pick on them, but they're an Israeli company, and a lot of their product was made in China. Then they moved it to like Belarus and to Poland and Mexico. And so you're
Nice.
not really sure where this is coming from. And, but, 2 years ago, I believe the domestic content part of the solar project, if you have to be eligible for you get a 30% tax credit, but then if you use a certain amount of domestic content, you got a bonus 10%. And that was if you use, so of course, yeah, who doesn't want a bonus 10%? So we moved almost everything to domestic equipment, which is great, but the solar inverters, we're not really, you have an idea that a lot of these circuit boards and, and who decides what kind of percentage is in a solar inverter that makes it foreign made versus US made or Canadian made or whoever else. But it's just, wow, this is a, drop the hammer and see who runs kind of thing, because it's just, another major disruption in the solar world. But good news is that solar has produced in California more than half of the power of the state during these summer months so far. So that is pretty amazing.
That's
even with
crazy.
all of these things, I know, I agree. It has extra power too. So it's that's pretty amazing, and it just shows that California, as I've been saying we're coming up 2 more days, will be 19 years in business. And I've been saying since the beginning, California is solar heaven. We just get so much sun, and PG&E has increased rates like crazy. And so it's solar makes such financial sense, and it's pretty great that, without solar, what would California have done? They would have run out of power, 15 years ago. So it's pretty amazing that, that there's this resource, and we're finally making use of it. And almost at every turn, it's getting, chopped down at the knees. But as always, solar will persevere and find a way around it and get through it. And we're kind of already through it, but it is just like, oh my God, FCC, I thought they were radio stations. And now all of a sudden they're regulating components that can talk to a Wi-Fi network. So, can
I ask one last question?
Yeah.
What if I, as a residential consumer, already know that my inverter is one of these Chinese companies, and now my inverter breaks?
Yep. You're gonna have to replace it with a domestic. Yeah, it happens very frequently. We get calls almost every week of somebody, their system is 13, 14 years old. It's a string inverter that 99 times out of 100, the solar installer is no longer in business, and the manufacturer, it's out of warranty. And so we try and get them into a new, we're recommending the Tesla inverter because it is mostly US made and the monitoring is really good, and it kind of walks them into potential batteries should they want it and that kind of thing. But so we do have replacements, and it's going to be interesting as always of how things progress. But today will not be the same as tomorrow. Tomorrow is always promised to be different. So, but fascinating.
I don't even know how you honor a warranty if you can't get that inverter into the country anymore, right? Even if you're still under warranty and it breaks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a great question.
Wow.
Yeah. If you have a Chinese-made solar inverter and it goes bad and it's still under warranty, is the manufacturers say, hey, we're happy to replace them. Come to China and get it.
Pick it up. Oh Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know.
Put it under your jacket.
We'll have more updates later on, but yeah, this is a fascinating topic as always.
That is amazing. All right. Thank you, Jamie. We're going to wrap it up there.
Yep.
Thank you to our listeners who have spent a little time out of their week to learn a lot more about solar, because man, there's always something happening. Wow. Every week, Jamie comes in and boom, blows your mind with this new developments. It is, wow. Nothing stays the same. It's not static, always changing. Wow. If you have a question for Jamie for an upcoming episode, you can go to our Facebook page Straight Talk Solarcast, send us a message through there. If you'd like to check out a library of our past episodes, go to solarharmonics.com, click on the podcast link at the top of the page, and you'll be taken to a cornucopia stretching back years and years and years. Finally, if you have a friend considering going solar and maybe they have already considered solar and purchased a system, this is a great podcast to recommend to them because wow, it'll save them thousands upon thousands of dollars over the life of their system. What better friend is that? We always ask. I don't know. Until next time, everyone. See you.
That's all for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of Straight Talk Solarcast with solar expert Jamie Duran. Join us each week for more answers to your solar questions. Speaking of questions, got some? Email us at solarcast@solarharmonics.com and we'll be sure to give you an answer in an upcoming episode. This episode of Straight Talk Solarcast is brought to you by Solar Harmonics, the leading solar energy developer in Northern California, who invite you to own your energy. Visit them on the web at www.solarharmonics.com.